Hello and welcome to round 3 of the World Supertech Series from Montreal in Canada. And this is race 1 of our highlights package provided by Jari Vinnari, and Rasmus Salo took pole position from Florian Strauss, so he's on the front row. James Johnson in 3rd, and Chris Butcher was behind him in 4th position. Jesper Tauborg, our championship points leader, was in 5th place. Tomasz Metaszewski was in 6th position. Ben Davis was in 7th, and Rob Musgrove in 8th, with Morten Vernessen and Paolo Tempera rounding out the top 10. So as they head towards the start-finish line for the first time, waiting for the green flag signal, and it's Rasmus Salo on the right of your screen and Florian Strauss on the left, and they wait for the green flag signal, and there it goes, and Ben Davis has made a good start, but he's immediately got into Jesper Tauborg, and that's going to cause problems further back, and indeed, Chris Butcher gets into the back of Jari Vinnari, nothing that those two could do, and Tauborg immediately spins, and Rasmus Salo as well has spun on the first corner, so he drops back through the pack, and Sergio Perez comes out of the pit lane after an altercation on the formation lap. Here's Salo making his way back through the pack, and he goes up the inside of Rob Musgrove into turn 6 and makes that one stick. And in the background there's Wayne Morgan goes sideways, and he lost a couple of positions there, I should think. Ben Davis goes through, Jack Keithley goes through. Yeah, indeed, Wayne Morgan gets sideways, and Alexis Copano gives him a hefty nudge, and Ilfanov had nowhere to go. And look at the damage for Jari Vinnari and Butcher in the background as well. Here's Morten Vernessen and Jack Keithley. Keithley looking for a way past Vernessen, and he goes up the inside of Vernessen, because Vernessen makes a little bit of a mistake, maybe a nudge from Keithley there, but Keithley makes the position, and Salo and Paolo Tempera move up a position as well. Tempera's got his lights on, trying to distract other drivers perhaps, but Salo's behind him now as they head towards the hairpin, and Salo's going up the inside of Paolo Tempera and takes the position away. A little bit of a bump and grind on the exit, but he moves up a position, so he's going back through the pack fairly quickly, and that's Davis, Metaszewski, Keithley, Salo and Paolo Tempera, and that's 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th positions. Here's Łukasz Demelin and Sergio Perez. They're battling over 10th and 11th positions, and Perez is going up the inside into the hairpin of Łukasz, and brakes later than Łukasz. In fact, he brakes too late, and Demelin might be able to cut him back as they head down the long back straight towards the final chicane. Look at the damage on Perez's car, and look at the damage as well on Jesper Tauborg behind them. He's going to be unhappy with that, and Demelin is on the inside of Perez as they head towards the final chicane, but Perez brakes later and makes that one finally stick, and Tauborg looking for a way past, and that's Copano in the background. Look at the damage for Chris Butcher as he follows Jari Vinnari along the back straight, and Butcher up the inside of Vinnari. You can barely tell it's them from the front of their cars. That's how hefty the damage was on that start line incident. Butcher up the inside of Vinnari through the final chicane and moves up in position. Here's Demelin and Jesper Tauborg following him with Perez just in front of these two. And Demelin a little bit wide out of the chicane and onto the grass there through turn 5, and Tauborg moves up the inside, but he's on the outside for turn 6, and Demelin brakes a little bit later, slides into Tauborg a little bit, and Demelin gets a little bit of a twitch on as well on the exit of turn 7, and moves Tauborg up a position as a result. Here's Davis, Metaszewski, Jack Keithley and Rasmus Salo all battling over 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Metaszewski gets into the wall on the exit of that corner. Shouldn't be too much damage, but it means that Keithley's got to run, and Keithley's already passed, and Salo as well on the inside as they head towards turn 1, and indeed Metaszewski loses 2 places as a result, and he's shuffled down to 6th position as a result, so a shame for him. Here's Paolo Tempera still with his headlights on, following Morten Vernessen. This is a battle over 6th and 7th position, and these two have been battling it out for a couple of laps now. And Tempera gets a better run off the exit of the final chicane, and he's on the inside. He hasn't quite got an overlap. He's going to need to brake later than Vernessen, which he does. Turns in first and makes that one stick. So Vernessen drops back a position as a result, and Tempera moves up to 7th position. Sorry, and those two making good progress. Here's Davis, Keithley, Salo and Metaszewski It could be any order really. These three indeed behind Davis have been battling and swapping positions all the way through, and Salo moves up the inside of Keithley. Salo showing surprisingly good pace this time round in Montreal, but he's run a little bit wide on the exit of turn 7, and Keithley now has an overlap. It's whether Keithley wants to overtake into this chicane. He doesn't. It's not really an overtaking place. As such, a better one would be to get a good exit into the hairpin, and Davis still stays ahead of Salo. And Salo very late on the brakes. He's going up the inside of Davis. I wonder if Davis has seen him, but he hasn't. And a little bit of contact between those two. Davis turned in, didn't expect Salo to be there. To be fair, Salo was a very long way behind, and now Salo has taken the position away, but Davis in the slipstream, and Keithley following him, trying to sniff around looking for a way past the pair of them. And Davis is up the inside of Salo and brakes later than Rasmus, as if he can make the final chicane, bumps over the curbs. But, oh, and Keithley spun in the background. I wonder if there was any contact with Mataszewski. I don't think there was. If anything, it would have been Keithley on the curbs. And yeah, look, he just got sideways over the final curb on the inside of the massive concrete mound, and loses the position to Mataszewski. That's a shame for him. That was Tempera in the background as well. Here's Perez and Jesper Tauborg. Tauborg going up the inside of Perez. Perez only leaving a car's width and no more as they head towards the final chicane. And Tauborg makes that one stick, bumps over the curbs in dramatic fashion, and Perez now might have a run on into the first corner. Severe damage for Perez, and we're now looking at Perez, and obviously he's made a mistake on this lap because he's dropped behind Butcher, Musgrove, and he's now just in front of Dumoulin, but he's moving past Rob Musgrove and takes that position away. So Perez making up for that mistake. Here's Davis and Salo once again. This time Davis, aware of Salo's intentions into the hairpin, goes defensive. Salo on the outside puts a wheel on the grass, and he's gone spinning. He's gone into a half spin, and he moves him back into 6th place, and he might just take the position away back again from Jack Keithley. He's got the overlap, but no, Keithley with a better exit from the hairpin, and Salo shuffled back to 6th place. And Mataszewski as well in front of these two, looking for a way past Davis, but Davis covers. And now Salo back on the inside of Keithley. He's got to brake very late for that, but he does so. Bounces over the curbs, takes the position away from Jack, and moves back in front of Jack Keithley. And here's Davis and Mataszewski. This is lap 7. These four been swapping positions all the way through, and Salo behind Mataszewski as well, looking for a way past. Salo on the grass, in fact. And these four nose to tail. Salo up the inside of Mataszewski, and Keithley looking for a way past Mataszewski as well. That's opportunistic from Keithley, and he pushes Mataszewski onto the grass and shovels him back to 6th place. So Mataszewski losing 2 positions in the space of 1 corner there. Here's Chris Butcher, and he's following Jesper Tauborg, our championship points leader, and Tauborg lets him go. Knows that Butcher at this stage has got the less heavily damaged car, I should say, and he moves up a position. But look, here's Salo on Davis, and Salo around the outside of the final chicane. There's no way through there, but Davis very late on the brakes, bumps over the curbs. He's very sideways. Salo nearly into the back of him, and now Keithley's got a run on the pair of them, and Keithley indeed makes his way past Salo, and he's ducking and diving, looking for a way past Davis, but Davis defending and making sure that he stays in 3rd position. This is over the final podium position, remember. Crucial for Keithley's championship hunt. Keithley got the better exit out of turn 2, but Davis sweeps in front of him and retains the position, and Mataszewski and Salo looking for a way past as well. Here's Wayne Morgan on Ilovanov very late into the hairpin on the brakes, but he does indeed move up past Nikola Ilovanov. Lucky that Ilovanov didn't turn in and saw him there. Here's Davis, and he's got Jack Keithley now behind him. And Salo and Mataszewski as well. They're all nose to tail. Salo looking for a way past Keithley. Keithley looking for a way past. He gives Davis a nudge. Davis into a half spin. Salo into the side of Davis. Damage for Salo. And Davis is shuffled back to 5th position. Salo down to 6th. Mataszewski moves up to 4th. And Jack Keithley moves up into a podium position. And that was all very exciting for a moment, but Davis finally relinquished of his position. Is Jari Vinnari. I promise you that is Vinnari's car. Heavy damage to the front of that from Jesper Tauborg at the start line, and Morgan nearly a moment there for Vinnari, but Morgan moves up past Jari Vinnari, and takes the position away. Here's James Johnson over the curbs. Matuszewski in third position. Sorry. Yes, Matuszewski in third. Wait, Matuszewski must have made a mistake, and that's Ben Davis in the pits as well. Not quite sure why that is. But Matuszewski was right on the tail of Salo and Jack Keithley, if you remember. So he's obviously moved back a couple of positions. Here's Verneson, and he's defending heavily, trying to retain his position, but Chris Butcher sneaks up the inside and takes the position away as Verneson makes a mistake on the exit of turn 2, and that's Talborg in the background as well, sniffing away. Here's Strauss and Johnson, and these two, really, we haven't been focusing on them, but those two are in first and second position, respectively. And Strauss at the moment is defending. That's Ben Davis in the pits as well, so obviously a technical problem for him or something. And Johnson's going up the inside of Florian Strauss into turn 1, and Strauss gets into the back of Johnson as well, reminding him that he's here. Don't worry, Johnson says, I know you're here, I've just overtaken you. And Johnson moves up a position and takes the first place away. And here's Dumoulin on the brakes into the hairpin, and he goes sideways, obviously locks the rears. And we've seen Wayne Morgan do that. In fact, Wayne Morgan spins in sort of sympathy, really, of Dumoulin's spin. That's not the first time, and Morgan nearly loses it again as he gets the power down, and that's Capano who moves up a position and takes that away. Here's Florian Strauss and James Johnson, and Strauss is drafting Johnson, sells him a dummy, goes left and then right, reminiscent of Mansell perhaps at Silverstone, as Strauss goes up the inside of James Johnson into the final chicane and takes that position away. If he can just about make it, he bounces over the curbs. They're both sideways on the power, pushing very hard indeed for the win. And Johnson now is right on the back of Strauss once again, and Strauss wise this time. He defends into turn 1 and retains the position from Johnson, but it's really looks like only a matter of time before Johnson gets by. These two still having a ding-dong battle. And as we move back through the pack, here's Alexis Capano and Wayne Morgan. They're battling over 16th position. And Morgan dummying Capano defending, and Morgan on the grass, and Morgan's bouncing over the grass. Hope there's no contact. Well, it was lucky really that Capano locked up and braked too late, and Morgan able to take the position away from Capano, but only because of Capano's mistake. But that could have been a lot more dangerous than it actually was. Capano, in fact, is in Wayne Morgan's slipstream, and look at the gain and the slipstream in these cars. And he's going to duck inside Wayne Morgan, looking for a way past into the final chicane. And he brakes very late indeed. Morgan nearly turns in on him, but Capano, well, far too late on the brakes, in fact. And Morgan, taking the correct part of the track, retains his position from Capano. Here's Rasmus Salo and Talborg. So Salo obviously made a mistake and is moved back behind Talborg. He's looking for a way past, and Talborg's seen him coming into the hairpin there and let him go. And Talborg makes a mistake actually in the middle of the hairpin, has a half spin, and is able to recover, but shame for Talborg, because that looked like it was going to heat up to a good battle. Here's Strauss and Johnson. Strauss very late on the brakes, far too late, locks up, and Johnson ducks inside, but Strauss now in the draft of Johnson. So Strauss a little bit damaged on the front left corner, but he's able to draft Johnson, and they're heading towards the final chicane. So Strauss this time ducks to the left, so he's going to be on the outside of the chicane, but he should have the better momentum. They're coming up behind Thomas Dumoulin and trying to go side by side through the chicane, and there's huge contact, and Strauss into the wall. So Strauss came worst off out of that incident, but he's able to carry on. But damage for him means that he probably won't be able to challenge. Here's Perez on Rob Musgrove in the almost identical liveried Audis. And Perez moves up a position. Perez the faster of the two. Why is he wiggling on the exit of that corner? Obviously checking damage or something. But James Johnson comes through, hits the front bumper, and he's going to cross the line as our race 1 winner. And really him and Strauss were the class of the field all the way through. And Johnson just about taking the victory from Strauss, with Jack Keithley in third eventually. Stewart inquiry over his move on Ben Davis to follow. But he's in third, Matuszewski in fourth. Chris Butcher from the back of the field all the way up to 5th position, a good result for him. Salo a good result as well in 6th place. Perhaps will be a little bit disappointed to only be in 6th after qualifying on the front row. Jesper Talborg was in 7th position. Morten Verneson was in 8th. Paolo Tempera in 9th. And Jari Vinnari rounded out the top 10. Join us for race 2, which follows shortly.